If you would like some extra strategies on how to help your arthritic dog at home when they have a flare up, then please stay with me. So, we know that arthritis is an inflammation of the joint, and we call this chronic inflammation because it's been there for some time. What happens in a flare up is either because of too much activity or an injury, there's new inflammation. We call this acute inflammation. And so, there's acute inflammation on top of the chronic inflammation. And with all this additional inflammation, it just makes all the symptoms of arthritis worse. But the good news is that the flare ups usually only last a few days, but there's definitely ways we can help them be more comfortable through that process. So, first things first is always to give them the medication that they've been prescribed. So, just keep giving them whatever medication that they've been given. It's a good idea also though to discuss with your vet and say if there is a flare up, is there any changes to the medication protocol? So they might say, okay, in a flare up, because of the increased pain, you can maybe have this medication instead of this medication, or your vet will talk through with you if there's any changes that need to be done when there's a flare up compared to just managing the normal effects of arthritis. The next is relative rest. And so we don't generally advise rest because when you rest, your joints get stiff and your muscles get stiff and they get sore. So, what we call is relative rest. And so, we want a little bit of movement to keep the joints and the muscles flexible and not stiff and sore. But obviously, we want to avoid any super strenuous activities that can exacerbate the joint and make it that that acute inflammation, continue. The next thing to do is use ice therapy. And lots of people are surprised by this because they think that for arthritic dogs, we use heat. And yes, that is true. That's great for chronic inflammation. But when we have acute inflammation, ice is best for that. And so what you would do is you'd get your ice pack, you'd wrap it in a towel, and then you'd place it over the affected area. And you can do this for about 20 minutes, and you can do that a few times a day. And that's, of course, provided that your dog will let you leave the ice pack on them. The next thing you can do is massage. So you might not massage over the sore spot, but because of whatever is sore, the other limbs are going to overcompensate. So if you've got a sore hip, it means that your shoulders for a dog, your shoulders will work harder. And so they might get stiff and sore. So your dog might like a bit of a massage around the shoulders to help relax that since they're doing extra work when there's the flare up in their hip. The next you can do is range of motion and stretches. So again, these help to keep the joints and the muscles moving so that there's less stiffness and less pain. And also, if you have it, a little home laser device just is a really good tool to have in your tool belt to be able to use in situations like this because it helps to decrease that acute inflammation. So the big question is how and when to restart your activity. So when the dog has a flare up, you want to increase your walking distance so that they're able to do what they used to do before their flare up. But you need to do that slowly. So a little bit every day, just do a little bit more and see how they tolerate it. If they already do strengthening exercises, or if you want to start strengthening exercises, then when you go back to doing what you did before, sometimes it's good to do a little bit less than what you were doing before and just help them build up again. So the good thing with my app, the Dog Rehab app, is that there's easy, medium, and hard levels. So for example, if your dog was doing a hard level and then had a flare up, then after the flare up had resolved, then I'd start them, say, at an easy or medium level, and then you can work back up to hard again. You just want to give them that little bit of time to readjust. So thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, please comment below.